Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And this is going to be part 2, I guess, of 5 of the Jubilee videos for this month. I'm breaking them up into smaller individual battle segments instead of having one big video for normal battles and one big video for boss battles, just to see how they do, because I know a lot of people did like the long format with timestamps, but also long videos tend to scare people away, so maybe if we broke it up into little tidbits, it would be more manageable for people, that they could easily find what battle they're looking for. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you still like the long form with timestamps, or if you like this broken up kind of version. But we're going to be taking on Normal Battle 2 today. I'm going to talk about disclaimers. I'm not going to post images on them, though, but 1, your results may vary based on your box. 2, we have specific units for using protection gauge and skill point gauge. I'll point them out inside the team builds themselves. And 3, don't forget to upgrade your magic buildings in town. With that said, let's get started on the first team. Alright, so this is the first team that we're using, and this is my highest scoring team right here. It's the Warriors Mind team. The turn limit for Normal 2 is 5, so you do have a little bit extra time to build up your buffs and your ults and attempt to get a lot of buffs going, which is, the primary buffs are going to be Guy, Valentine, and Violet. But you'll notice that we're using Dord, 4-star, or even 3-star, I think he's a 3-star, 3-star Dord as our supporter, and that is because he gives the entire team a 15% chance to poison evade, which, if you're looking to take less damage to up your score, is going to be instrumental in you taking less damage. Because the enemies generally will hit you for 1, maybe a couple damage here and there, but the poison is what really takes your score down, at least for the sweaty tryhards it does. For normal people, it's not going to matter. But he does give you that extra little bit of RNG chance to dodge that. So this is the team. It's currently rank 2 as of recording this. It will change, though, as we move forward in the week. Let's go ahead and get started. I only have this one run, so we're fine. We've brought Space Ranga because 1, he's on Warrior's Mind, and 2, he fulfills the turn 1 orb change of the 2 oranges to 2 greens to give us a starting hand of 6. So only 3 ants here. They do have guard and defense, so they are relatively tanky. But here we're going to look to nuke with Guy and Rimuru being both single targets with type advantage. So we're going to get rid of the middle ant, or at least attempt to in a couple turns, just to avoid a little bit of extra damage taken, some of the poison or something, just to, cut it down. So we did about half his HP right there. But realistically, after turn 1, it should only be blue orbs, because you want as many stacks of Velzard as you can. And you can see that we're taking 1 damage apiece on every hit. That's what you're looking for to get maximum score, and then you want to get that poison evasion, which you can see on top of Rimuru and Guy right here that they have, because it resets every turn. So that's why Violet doesn't have it, because she was in the back. But here, 6-handed blues, we have to use, we got to use Velzard first. Make sure to get that extra 12% attack buff. This will also help us kill the middle ant now, so then there's only 2 chances of poison that we have to dodge realistically, rather than 3, because each ant has a 70% chance or something to poison us. So we want as little as possible, and we only want 2 ants anyways, because we are gonna do 2 single target ults with Guy and Rimuru. So there's a dodge on 2 of them, but then everybody got hit with it right there. So in perfect RNG land, nobody would have poison on, but it is what it is. But there's a good orb change right there. And then we can bring in Valentine for Ranga, and we have enough points to use her extra protection gauge skill right there. So we get 2 stacks for the price of 70 skill points, really. But that's going to help us get more attack, and it's also going to help buff up Rimuru's alt gauge buff, because every time you use a protector, you get 10%. It starts at 50, so you got to use 5 protection Velzards before that caps out, which you're going to want to do, because we want to do the damage cap, which is 1 million here. And it's fairly easily done, quite honestly. So the other reason we took out the middle ant is because the middle ant puts a crit nerf on us. So we have a pierce nerf, and we have a guard penetration nerf from the left and right ant, respectively. If the middle ant was still alive, we would also get a crit nerf, and since this team is crit focused, that's not really the best thing in the world to have. So it's better to lose one of the ants being the middle one, so we don't have to worry about that, because we're not piercing here. We're not built on a pierce kind of scale. We're built on crit scale. So here's another stack, another full hand of blues. It is turn 4. So we have 78 points. Now we're going to use Rimuru's alt buff to give us, you know, a lot of alt gauge, and this will get us Guy's EX alt, which is fine, because honestly, we really only need Guy. I didn't realize that until we ended this this battle, but we only really need one alt to get that max cap. So we're going to find out right here, right now, why that's a thing. So we have 300 points, so we only need 240, because we need, you know, the 3 big time buffs. We have one more stack of Velzard, so now we'll put on the Violet buff. We'll bring in Valentine. You could very easily swap Valentine out for Fount of Wisdom Rimuru. His physical buff is actually better in the early stages of the fight, but he's not on the Warrior's Mind team, which means he doesn't get that extra defense. So if you're looking to maximize your damage taken, or minimize your damage taken, Rimuru is not going to be the one you want. But we're going to single target, we're going to EX ult the other one. It doesn't really matter what we do here. I don't know why I brought Ranga in, but sure. And now, we're going to try and lower that ant a little bit more, and then we'll send this. So, Rimuru, 625k, great. Guy on his EX ult does 1,000,000 by himself. And now, my guy is level 120, so he does have a little bit extra stats, you know, on his side. But there we go, 1.8 million. We only needed 1,000,000. And the only way to make my score any better now is to take less damage, which would be to dodge all the poison crap. But there is my highest scoring team right there. And yeah, you kind of need those pieces. Again, you could swap out Valentine for Fount of Wisdom Rimuru. That would be fine. You would also then have a dedicated blue orb changer into, or dedicated orange to blue changer, which is good for a lot of people who don't want to deal with that RNG. But there's Team 1. Let's move on to Team 2. Alright, so an alternate team you can use to get a pretty good score is the Konosuba team with EX Mjurran, who is technically free to play because you can only get her from ticket summons. You don't have to actually pay crystals for her, technically. So you may have her. She'll work fine on this team. She is an AoE nuker, so you can do some decent damage here with an EX alt and just the pure amount of buffs that we're going to have on this team. So we've got Konosuba Rimuru. He's going to stack us 20% alt damage every single time. We've brought free-to-play Aaron to be our turn 1 orb changer. You could swap her out instead for free-to-play Sufia, who would do the same thing, or if you have the Ranga, you could bring Space Ranga as well. That doesn't really matter. We've got Aqua for the Pierce buff and the forcing the alt gauge on Mjurran. We've got Kazuma for his orb change and his attack and defense buff and debuff. Mjurran obviously has she's our nuker. Her other skills aren't really that important here. And then I guess you could attack nerf them if you want and lower your damage taken. I didn't actually do that, but you could. And then Megumin is our alt damage buffer plus our dedicated orange orb changer. So it is a very coherent team. We have a turn 1 orb change, and then we have we have 2 orb changers, we have a nuker, we have a lot of buffs. This team does work. So here we go. Turn 1, we'll use Aaron's orb change. We'll bring in Mjurran for Kazuma, I think, or Aaron. Okay. Whatever works. Aqua does have that turn 2... No, it's turn 3. Yeah, it's turn 3 protection gauge. Megumin and Violet, that's underneath her, have turn 2 protection gauge. So that's why I have them in the back and they're come up front now. Mjurran, being a defensive unit, obviously does not have a crazy high attack stat. So we have to give her a lot of powerful buffs in order to make her a viable nuker, which we're going to do. We're going to do. This team doesn't lack any sort of damage potential. It's just that we're using not a traditional unit to make it happen. But thankfully, because we sent a full hand of greens, we have a lot of points to play with, so we have enough to double orb change here. Plus we have, 3 Mjurrans, which the more Mjurrans, the better. We're going to bring Aaron back in to just get additional weakness damage, and that's about it. Now for this, I probably should have started actually attacking the ant on the left, because that's the one that does the pierce resistance, or the pierce nerf, but looks we don't have enough power to actually kill anyways, so before we get to that, it doesn't really matter, because we're not as powerful as Guy and Rimuru. We're not getting a passive attack buff. This is only on the ult that Rimuru is doing, so our attacks aren't getting any stronger by the turn. But we have another good turn. We have another orb change from Megumin, so we're looking pretty good. We're going to start giving Mjurran some alt gauge right there at 40% a shot. So I made sure that Mjurran was our highest attacking unit. So I took all the weapons off everybody else, just to ensure that there's no way that Mjurran would not get the alt buff, which is unfortunate because she's a defensive unit. Even with all that stuff going, the combination of Megumin and Violet still has a higher attack stat. So gotta watch out for that. I think I made a misplay like that in here somewhere, but it works out. So there's the crit, the pierce, and the guard penetration debuff. It doesn't really matter now, quite honestly. There's another stack of Rimuru. We have the ult from Mjurran. We only need a little bit more. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to... I think I swapped Megumin out. Yeah, so I do the orb change. No, I made a misplay previously, and that's why I've learned now. So we swap Megumin out. Now Mjurran has the highest attack stat. So now she's just a little bit away from getting her ult, but we can go another turn, because while turn 5 is like the max turn bonus, they do lose their defensive buffs on turn 6, and it will help you hit a little bit harder. And by a little bit, I mean a decent amount harder. But you'll lose points from the max turn bonus being not max anymore. So you got to make that conscious decision. But here, because we didn't have the EX ult, it wasn't really an option. If we had been able to get the EX ult, I would have nuked on turn 5 and been okay. But we're just going to push it one more turn, just for the example. And we're good on points now, because we only need 8, 16, 24. And we're at 260 right now. So we're going to bring Mjurran in, and then give her one last little buff here. And then we've got pierce resistance down on all 3 of the ants, which will just help our damage, technically. I mean, we could have put it all on one ant, or we could have spread it out. Doesn't really matter, because it stacks. But here we go. Here is a full hand of blues. That'll give us another stack of Rimuru going into next turn. So we took Mjurran away. That way we can have her ult in the back and have a full hand of blues. And now, on turn 6, we are ready to nuke. And thankfully, the only unit that I don't need up front is Megumin, because she's the alt buffer, and she has 2 orbs, which is great, because sometimes you can get very unlucky, and you could not have anybody. Not have orbs for people that you need to swap out. So, thankfully that didn't happen here. But now we've used the 80% attack or alt buff. We're going to get another stack of that from Rimuru here, and then we'll go ahead and apply the pierce and the attack and defense lowering skill. And then we'll go ahead and nuke, because I'm fairly certain any of these orbs would kill all the ants. So one more stack of the pierce resistance just for good measure, and we do 333k a pop. We hit 1 million, right? We hit 1 million with EX Mjurran. So that right there will get us a decent score, 58.6k. My highest score is 61. So, I mean, we're missing a good amount of points on the turn bonus, but our damage taken isn't really that big. So this team can definitely get you where you need to be as far as competitive score without having the full Warrior's Mind meta. So that is the second alternate team. Let's move on to the really, really not good team, but, you know, you use it if you got it, right? Let's move on to that one. Alright, for the third and final team on Normal Battle 2, we're using this makeshift kind of quick, bursty, lots of buffs kind of team. So we've got Towa, who's going to give us a lot of alt gauge on her orange orbs. We've got the Hero 2.0 to give us that 50% resistance down. Soe will be our turn 1 orb changer. Earth Milim will be our AoE nuker. Hinata is here because she gives that 50% attack buff for all elements for 40 points, so it's cheaper. And the only other Earth buffer we have is the other Mjurran, and she's not good for a short-term fight. She's a healer, so... And then we have Space Rimu to give us an attack buff. So, I mean, we have 1, 2, 3 decent buffs on the team, so, I mean, we can do something with it, right? Let's go ahead and get started. Now, if you're going to use this team, then score is not really a big issue, because it's not going to get you a million, and honestly, you can nuke whenever you're ready to go. You could wait till turn 6 if you want, with their defense down, or you could nuke on turn 4 or 5 when they have everything up. It really doesn't matter. For this team, you're just looking for a score more than anything else. So, Soe will convert turn 1, we'll bring in Rimuru, sure, and then we'll go ahead and send all of this. And we just have to make sure that we actually get orbs for Milim, because I ran into that problem like twice when I'm trying to do this team, is that I would just never get Milim orbs. We almost didn't get a Milim orb there. We got one. Whoop-de-friggin'-do. Thankfully, we have a few turns that we can go through this. So we'll go ahead and bring Hinata in, and then we can guarantee that the next hand will be all oranges, because Towa doesn't cycle very well. So we'll go ahead and use Towa. We'll get a full 6 hand of oranges, which will get us a decent amount of alt gauge, even with only one orb, but not as much as I would like. So we're almost there. Next turn is guaranteed to be orange, and then sending that will get us another Towa on turn 4, technically. So we pierce that one. Look at that. We got no Milim orbs. Thanks a bunch. I love it. There's the poison, which we're not dodging that at all. So we'll go ahead and use the orange buff again. That way when we swap out these two alts, they're guaranteed to be oranges. And oh my god, look, we have no Milim orbs. Oh my god, what a conspiracy. So that's cool. I love seeing that. Good thing to note is that you don't actually get weakness damage score if you don't hit them with type advantage. And none of these other units except Milim is type advantage, so we're not really actually gaining anything on these hits, which is just peachy. Just peachy. They're going to crit and pierce nerf us. We're not actually doing any of that. We're just going with raw damage with the element buff and the attack buff and the resistance down, so that doesn't really matter unless we happen to naturally pierce or crit, which I think it's a rate, not a power nerf. So we're going to go ahead and send this ult just to get it out of the way, and I also wasn't really that afraid of killing them. Again, no one else has gear on except for Milim here, so we're not really in danger of killing them. Plus, with the guard penetration down, we don't hit for anything now. But we do have an ult. We have a Milim ult, so we could nuke here if we wanted, or we could wait till turn 6. We're going to wait till turn 6 and just get everything out of the way. Looks like I contemplate going for the nuke here, but I think, yeah, we just end up sending the 4, and then we'll wait for their defense to be down so we can hit as hard as physically possible on this team. We do have enough points to, use all of our buffs, though, so that's good, because we've got 100 points plus double Towa. So here, we'll use the resistance down. It also increases our orb damage, but we're not going to send any extra orbs. We can bring Rimuru in for his 40% attack buff now. There we go, and then we'll bring in Hinata. We didn't even really need double Towa. We just needed a single Towa, but hey, whatever. So there's another 40 points to get us up to 60, so now we get a 50% earth attack on Milim, and then we'll go ahead and just send it, and we do... yeah, pretty crappy. We got a natural crit over there. That's cool, because we lost the buff, the nerf and everything, but there we go, 157k, 33.9, it's still an S rank, so, I mean, hey, you got an S rank. Again, this is a very, bare bones kind of throwing crap at the wall kind of thing, but it is a team that can get you a score. But that's going to do it for normal Battle 2. As far as substitutions are concerned for this stage, there's not really that many options, purely because Earth units just don't get any love. They just don't. They are the least represented typing of the entire game. So you've got Guy, you've got Rimuru, you've got EX Mjurran right here, and then we've got free-to-play Albus, whoop-de-doo, and then we have bitch-ass Soe. We have defense Mjurran and Clayman and Adelman. Lumi technically is an attacking unit, but they're just very limited options for Earth nukers. Yeah, there's Adamant. Benny Mario's an AoE. Technically, I guess you could use him. Daggerel. Sure. But strong, good nukers are not common for Earth. So there isn't a lot you can use here. But let me know if you have any thoughts or other additional teams that you tried out for this team or the stage that got you a good score. That's it for me. Take it easy, and I'll see you guys later.